Almost Home, Love Beyond Distance. This is a story about a lonely architect who begins finding handwritten notes from an unseen former resident hidden throughout his old apartment. What first feels mysterious becomes a healing classroom, showing him that genuine connection is not limited by appearances, bodies, or physical distance. Julian moved into the apartment because he wanted quiet. After years of crowded offices, failed relationships, and too much conversation that never reached anything real, quiet sounded like freedom. The apartment sat above an old bakery on Willow Street. Tall windows, worn wooden floors, a narrow balcony overlooking the rooftops. On his first night, Julian found a folded note inside a kitchen drawer. "If you water the basil, it will forgive you." He laughed. There was, in fact, a nearly dead basil plant on the windowsill. He watered it. The next morning, he found another note taped beneath the dining table. "Sunset is better from the fire escape." Julian looked around. No one had entered. The landlord told him the previous resident had moved away suddenly. "She left some things behind," he said. "Probably forgot the notes too." Julian should have thrown them away. Instead, he followed them. One note led him to a loose floorboard containing old photographs of neighborhood children planting flowers. Another directed him to a tiny rooftop garden hidden behind the chimney. One simply said, "When you feel alone, open the window." He did. From somewhere below came music, laughter, dishes clattering, someone calling a child home. The city he had been trying to shut out suddenly felt alive. The notes were signed only. M. Julian began writing replies. "Who are you?" He left the message beneath the basil pot. The next evening, a new note appeared. "Someone who lived here long enough to learn that walls are not very good at separating people." Julian stared at it. He checked the locks, then the windows, then the hallway. No one. He wrote again. "How are you doing this?" The answer came 2 days later. "Does the method matter more than the message?" That irritated him, but it also made him smile. Weeks passed. The apartment became a conversation. M's notes were playful, but sometimes startlingly direct. "You work when you don't want to feel. You call withdrawal peace. You think needing people makes you weak." Julian wrote back angrily, "You don't know me." The reply came the next morning. "Then why are you defending yourself?" He almost tore it up. Instead, he sat on the floor for a long time. He began seeing the apartment differently. It was not haunted, it was exposing him. Every room seemed to reveal another belief he had hidden inside. The bedroom held grief from a relationship he had never fully mourned. The office held fear of failure. The locked balcony door held his habit of keeping life at a safe distance. The apartment had become a classroom. And somehow, this unseen stranger kept pointing toward the lessons. One rainy evening, Julian wrote, "I don't even know if you're real." The response came beneath his drafting table. "What changes if you become kinder because of something you cannot explain?" Julian read it 3 times. He had been asking the wrong question. He wanted proof, form, a face, a body in the room. But the relationship had already changed him. He began visiting the elderly baker downstairs. He helped a neighbor repair a leaking ceiling. He called his sister after nearly a year of silence. Nothing supernatural happened during those moments. Yet Julian felt something opening. His perception was changing. One afternoon, the landlord stopped by. Julian asked about M. The landlord became quiet. Her name was Mira. "Where is she now?" "She was ill when she lived here." Julian felt his stomach tighten. "She died?" The landlord nodded. "About 18 months ago." Julian stared at the wall. "That's impossible." That night, he searched the entire apartment. The silence felt enormous. For 3 days, nothing. Julian became angry. He felt foolish. Then, beneath the basil pot, he found one final folded paper. He opened it slowly. "You keep asking where I am. Notice where love appears." Julian sat down. Tears came. Not because he suddenly understood the mystery. He did not. But he saw how quickly his mind had turned absence into loss. If Mira had no body, he assumed the connection was gone. If he could not explain the notes, he assumed they could not be meaningful. He had spent his life confusing what could be seen with what was real. Months later, Julian renovated the apartment. He repaired the floors, opened the balcony, filled the rooftop garden with herbs and flowers. But he left one wall untouched. On it, he framed the final note. Visitors sometimes asked whether he believed Mira had truly written to him after death. Julian would smile. "I don't know. Doesn't that bother you?" "Not anymore." He had discovered that the greatest miracle was not the notes, it was the shift from isolation to joining, from fear to openness, from needing proof to allowing love to teach. Bodies could appear and disappear. Distance could seem enormous. Circumstances could change. But the love that joins minds was not contained by walls, apartments, miles, or form. And whenever Julian felt alone again, he opened the window. Not because he expected a message, because he remembered what seems absent may still be present differently. And love had never needed a body to remain love. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.